Welcome to the AACFB's 2025 Meet the Funder webinar series. My name is Monica Harper. I'm the Executive Director of the AACFB, and I will be your host. Our presenter today is Kip Amstutz with 360 Equipment Finance. 360 Equipment Finance is both a funding source member and a gold sponsor of the AACFB, and I'd like to thank them for their support of the association. Thank you. Before I introduce Kip, I'd like to go over a few items to make this webinar more enjoyable and informative for everyone. During the presentation, you should see a Q&A box that allows you to ask questions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit your questions in the box and they should be answered by the end of the webinar. The entire webinar should take no more than 30 to 45 minutes. And for those of you who would like to review this at a later date, it will be posted on the 2025 Meet the Funder page of the website, and it will be emailed out to the AACFB membership. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Kip. It is all yours.
Thank you, Monica. Appreciate the introduction. I wanted to introduce myself to everyone. My name is Kip Amstutz. I'm with 360 Equipment Finance, and we are a gold sponsor and have been members of the AACFB since 2010 when we formed 360. I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint on our programs and the things that we do, and then I'm going to show you our new broker portal, which allows brokers to submit deals online, review the statuses of them, has a payment calculator function, and also has a broker scorecard that tells them their success rate for applications, submissions, approvals, and fundings. You're kind of getting the B team today. Lynn Smith and Sasha Mata are our normal broker relations reps. Lynn is attending a funeral, and Sasha has her oldest child graduating from kindergarten, so I'm stepping in to fill in for them. A little bit about the company history of 360. We were started in 2010 as a funding source member. In 2021, we merged with a company called Mantis Financial, which is another company that my father and I had started in 2001 that was more of a direct lessor. And so 360 is the side of our business that is a direct funder. We have application only from 5,000 to 150,000. And a lot of people view us as only a C credit or a subprime credit funder, but one of the things I want to focus on today is the B and C credit rate tiers that we have. And hopefully, with us opening those up, there'll be more originators and brokers that send transactions to us that fit both of those credit profiles. Everything that we do is a lease. Every one of our transactions has a 10% minimum security deposit and a minimum 10% purchase option at the end. And since our initiation in 2010, we have never sold any of the transactions in our portfolio. So we hold them all to term. We retain all billing and servicing. And so that's one of the things that we like from a customer service standpoint. If there's any questions on payoffs, on payment history, anything else, we handle all of that. So we handle the customer service aspect from A to Z. I'm going to read our mission real quick. Our mission is committed to providing innovative equipment financing solutions to entrepreneurs and business owners nationwide while consistently delivering exceptional customer service to our originators and brokers. At the end of the day, we're like any other funding source. We offer money and we offer terms and rates and approvals. But the thing we like to say that separates us are our programs and also our team here that we really strive to give the best customer service, communication, and turnaround as possible. A couple of our team that you guys may interact with, as I said, Lynn Smith and Sasha Mata, they are assigned to different brokers, and they would be the people that you would talk to if you had questions about previewing a deal, what structure you think deals would be under, what tier transactions would fall under, etc. That's who you would contact regarding that. Justin Burrows, our credit manager, and there are times when Lynn or Sasha originates a call with Justin where brokers can ask questions about why was this turned down, why was there a bigger or smaller security deposit, or just a story on the transaction that will help us hopefully get the transaction across the approval line. Sasha and Brandy also act as contract managers and account managers, meaning they provide documentation. They help brokers with getting vendor invoices correctly. They track wires and payments from brokers with the upfront fees required for us to fund a transaction. So those are two people that you'll deal with pretty regularly if you have a deal that's in our credit queue or in documents. And then Great America Portfolio Services provides all of our servicing. They have a customer service line that they can answer any questions about our transactions or refer customers back to us if it's a specific question that they can't answer. They also have an online portal to make payments. All invoices are emailed out directly through their system, and payoffs can be requested on there as well. We have four credit tiers, so they kind of fall into what we call the B and C uh, credit profiles. Uh, Buy rates start at 21% and work their way up in 5% increments. And we have some specifics of credit quality that we look at. Tiers one and two have to have what we call preferred equipment, and we'll get to that in a second. Usually, those are harder assets, have a better resale value, and are able to be liquidated more easily and hold their value for a longer period of time. Credit scores on those are 625 and 600 for tier two. We prefer to have some sort of comp debt or be a homeowner, and we prefer 5 years in business for tier one. Tier two, everything else is the same, but basically 600 credit score and 3 years time in business. Tier three is 2 years time in business and have a minimum of 750 FICO. So wanted to point out that we go down to some of the lower credit scores that that other funders probably don't want to play in, but we're definitely a BC lender. And tier four is no minimum time in business, no minimum FICO. We will do companies that are 3 or 6 or a year months or a year in business. What we want to see is the cash flows and the revenues that they're producing warrant us lending them money to finance equipment. Next thing we'll get to, our deal size is 5,000 to 150,000. It's all application only. Only thing we require is 3 months of full banks so that we can assess working capital or inter account transfers that don't count as true revenue. Our terms are 18 to 60 months. Once again, we have no credit score minimum. So really what we're looking at is cash flow, the collateral, and really the one thing that helps us the most is when the broker knows the story behind the transaction. Why is the credit score lower? What type of revenue is this asset going to produce? Is this replacement equipment? Is this for a new contract? I will say that in my experience, our most successful brokers know and understand the transaction and provide background and history when they submit the transaction to us through our portal. The transactions that don't get approved are ones that the broker doesn't know the story of the transaction, so they don't know really what's going on with the business. And so a big thing to us, because these aren't deals that just go through a scorecard system. There's a human element that looks at every one of them is, do you know the deal? Why should we do the deal? What's the history or the background on it? Have you talked with the customer about any of their credit challenges and explained to them that our program is a way to rebuild business credit or to help them as a bridge finance get to where they can apply for more bankable type credit rates in the future? As we discussed, lease structure is a true lease with a 10% purchase option. Because of the disclosure laws in California and New York, it's a 15% purchase option in those two states. We anticipate that there'll be more states to follow that in the future. And our broker commissions are 15 points up to $50,000 of the financed amount, and a maximum of 10 points above $50,000. We go all the way up to 150. Documentation fees are $595 to $1,095 depending on ticket size. Site inspections are $345. Those are not required on every deal. They're on a case-by-case basis with our uh, credit steps that we issue when we issue an approval. Security deposit is a minimum of 10%. That deposit is then held until the end of the lease term. And at the end of the lease term, 60 days out, we send a DocuSign letter out if the lessee wants to return the equipment, renew the lease, or exercise their purchase option. And we also have a program for a 5% security deposit for certain transactions, which is at the discretion of our credit manager. Wanted to go into the preferred and non-preferred assets now. Do want to point out that we do vendor and private party sales. Private party sales are one thing that really differentiates us from a lot of other lenders where that's restricted. But some examples of preferred equipment would be construction, surveying, directional drills, roll-off containers, dump trucks, flatbed trailers, auto repair, landscape, vocational trucks, materials handling and forklifts, and manufacturing equipment. Basically, this is all what we consider harder assets um, that have much higher secondary value when liquidated, and that's what we consider preferred equipment. Non-preferred would be RVs, buses, box trucks, restaurant equipment, medical, office, gym, long haul trailers, have to have a company with two trucks in their fleet, and logging, titled assets only. These are assets where either the industry or the asset is considered a higher risk in our opinion. And so those would be considered non-preferred equipment and would normally fall into tier three or tier four pricing. Um, Restricted assets, boats or planes, cannabis industry is restricted, oil and gas industry is restricted, non-medical MD equipment. We do not do long haul owner operator trucking. We do not do over the road and sleeper cabs, no software transactions, and any equipment that's more than 20 years old. So as you can see, because we're a BC lender, the asset that we're financing is very important to us. When there are credit challenges, we want to make sure that the asset that we're financing has a better resale value than something that we consider a non-preferred asset. I want to go through our 5 steps in funding. First step is obviously submission. At the end of this call, we'll go over our broker portal, which we feel is very user-friendly that you can use to submit transactions. This comes into underwriting, and we try within 3 hours to have some sort of response to you, turnaround time. Through the portal, you get automated responses on whether a deal is approved, declined, or additional information is needed. If it's approved, we will issue a term sheet that the broker can review and then would send out or have us send out directly to the customer for signature. That term sheet has all the different terms and stipulations. It allows the customer to choose the term in months of what they want. And then it has the opportunity for them to provide credit cards so that we can process a document fee before we start producing documents. Once the term sheet's received, we will send out a list of the information we need in order to prepare contract documents. Those are all sent out by DocuSign, unless it's a titled transaction where we need a wet power of attorney for a certain DMV. If that's the case, we would send out contract documents via DocuSign and then follow that up with the paper copies for the power of attorney. Uh, Once final contracts are all done and signed, we do a final verbal, and then upon funding, you will receive a notification when your commission is released. Normally, a commission is released upon funding unless there is a certain stipulation that needs to be met for commission to be released. One of those would be a guarantee of title from either the vendor, or if it's a private party, we would need to have the site inspection completed where check for title is exchanged. Required submission items, once again, can't stress enough the deal write-up, the story and the background on the deal. I would still say that a large percentage of our transactions have very minimal write-up, and those transactions tend to have a lower approval rate than ones that have a write-up. So I can't stress that enough. If there's one thing I think you take away from this call, if you're interested in submitting transactions to us, it's to take the time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to call the borrower and get to know them and their business and include the information that you accumulate during your conversation with them in the deal write-up. We need a signed credit application. We need an invoice or quote for the equipment and cost. If you've pulled a CBR or a credit report, we would want you to include that. Um, if you don't pull CBRs, my advice to you would be you need to get to where you start doing that, because if you don't have a CBR, you have no idea what sort of credit profile the customer falls into. And the final thing is the last 3 months of full business bank statements so we can review, assess those for revenues, ending balances, working capital, where transactions are coming from, and that allows us to underwrite the file. Final thing, as of January, we moved to all submissions must be entered through our online portal. It's really user-friendly. We've gotten great feedback from it, and it's easy to get set up to use that. These are some documents that I'm not going to go over in great detail, but these are some items that are needed in order for a transaction to move forward. We obviously have titled and non-titled. The big difference being on titled, we need to make sure that we have VIN number verification, that we have all the company information we need to show that they're in good standing, that the name matches, driver's license. And then obviously titled, we need to make sure that the vendor, if they're doing the title work, fills out the title and lien information correctly. And if it's a private party um, or the vendor can't do the title work, we need to make sure that the information is being sent to us so that we can have the correct information for our third-party title company. One thing that differentiates private party sales is that normally there's an inspection involved. If it's titled, the inspector will deliver a check from us in exchange for the title and will also inspect the equipment or the titled vehicle. Um, that is one difference that, like I pointed out earlier, a lot of funders won't do private party sales, and that's something that we specialize in. One other thing, certain states that we don't do business in. Right now, we don't do business in Hawaii, Alaska, or Louisiana, but we're open to doing business in all other 47 states. Here's a couple examples of preferred assets that we like. You've got yellow iron equipment, you've got a titled vehicle that's a bucket truck, you've got an auto lift for an auto repair shop, dump truck or a dump trailer. Those are considered a couple examples of preferred equipment. Insurance. We have an insurance plan with a company called Assurant that the minute that a transaction funds, insurance is automatically placed on that transaction. The borrower has 14 days of funding to provide their own insurance, which Assurant reaches out to them to provide if they didn't provide that to us at funding. One of the big positives of this is that getting insurance and getting the proper certificate will not slow down funding now because we automatically have coverage. Basically, Assurant reaches out to the borrower and says, either you can provide your own insurance if you didn't provide it at funding, or you can use ours, and they will add that insurance cost to the bill. And that way, all of our assets are always covered and insured, and funding is not delayed. It's been a very good program for us so far, and we've had great feedback from borrowers and from brokers on how that speeds funding up. Couple frequently asked questions. Can 360 do a sale leaseback on non-titled equipment? Nope. Our sale leaseback program is only on titled equipment. Age restriction is 20 years. Do you have a working capital program? We do not provide working capital. Our only form of working capital would be a sale leaseback on a titled vehicle. Do we have a time and business requirement? No, we don't, but we don't do pure startups. So in theory, if a company has 3 months of revenues, they've been in business for 3 months and they were able to start generating revenue from day one, we would look at that because they'd have 3 months of banks that we could underwrite. What type of equipment does 360 accept as additional collateral? Right now, it's only titled equipment. So in that case, the borrower goes and gets a lien added to an asset that's owned free and clear. They add our lien to it, and that they send us proof of that, and that allows us to fund the transaction if there's additional collateral required. Do we report to credit bureaus? Great question. We do not currently report to personal credit bureaus, but we report to PayNet. I think everyone's familiar with what PayNet is, but it's the largest business credit reporting agency in the United States. And what that does is it allows customers, if they pay well, they establish good pay history. If they pay poorly, they're going to establish poor pay history. It's going to be harder for them in the future to get any sort of financing. Do we have a minimum credit score? No, we do not. We definitely look at credit scores and we look at the performance of someone's personal credit, but we do not have a minimum. We're also a revenue-based lender, so one of the big things we look at is the percentage of revenue compared to the ask on the equipment. For easy numbers, if someone wants $100,000 in equipment, we generally look for around 80% monthly revenues of that. So you would want to see someone that had about $80,000 a month in revenue. However, we're willing to look at other things if for some reason they don't quite meet that standard. Maybe it's additional collateral, maybe it's that the story that they're getting a new contract, and that's what really helps us understand the transaction. Do we do dollar buyouts or EFAs? No, we don't know. We do not. Everything is either a 10 or 15% buyout option at the end. Do we offer refinancing? Not usually. If the story makes sense, we'd like to hear about it. But for the most part, we are dealing with private parties or vendors that we're paying directly. What's the maximum exposure allowed per customer? 150,000 is the max, whether that's through multiple deals or one transaction. Can brokers add fees to 360's term sheet? We prefer that they not. We prefer that your fees be included in the points, and that's why we offer 0 to 15 points or 0 to 10 points, depending on the size of the transaction. And will we consider rebrokered deals? Want to emphasize this point. We are 100% broker originated. We rely on brokers to be our origination source and our sales force. When customers call us or call into the servicing portal and request to do another transaction, we refer that transaction to the broker and pay them their points on it. So this is why part of the reason why we don't want to do rebroker deals. We want to deal directly with the broker that has originated that transaction and has the relationship with the borrower or with the vendor or with both. If you have any questions, you would want to reach out to Sasha. Her email is sasha@360equipmentfinance.com, and her phone number is on here too. All of this is on our website. And to become a referral partner, we just need a signed broker agreement, a W-9, and a voided check. And we always have a decision on your broker application the same day that you apply, as long as it's within a couple hours before the end of business. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm going to go back in and show you our broker portal. So on our website is partners here and brokers, and down here you can log into your broker portal, or if you want to fill out a new broker application, you can fill that in here. And our broker portal, we're really proud of it. It's something that we have worked on and we received great feedback on it. So I want to start with the home page, which is this shows you the deals that you have currently working, and it shows you this is where you would submit a deal with all the information that you have. It's a very easy portal to use. Desired points, desired purchase option, desired tier. One of the things that we are really stressing with our brokers is to pre-price with your customer. Are you okay with the 10% security deposit? Are you aware that you have a 618 credit score or a 595 and you're financing harder assets. So maybe we feel like you're going to fall into a tier one or tier two, and that's why we give you the requirements so that you know where you think they're going to fall. This will help us to know what tier you're looking for, and hopefully our credit analyst will be able to come as close to that tier as possible if everything makes sense. The explanation of credit deficiencies or other deficiencies is a huge thing. The more you know about their credit report, their changes in revenues or ending balances, something that happened to them in the past, whether it was a medical or a divorce or whatever it was that caused them to be late on making some payments. That's very helpful in here. And so the feedback we received is that it takes literally 5 minutes to complete this first page, and then that goes into our portal for our credit analyst to review. For those of you that don't know how to quote well or aren't sure of our pricing, this is an area that helps. This is our quoting tool. If you think something is a tier two, you would look at, do they have 3 years time in business? Do they have a minimum 600 FICO? What's their or do they have comp debt or a homeowner? Or you think they do, or they told you? And is it preferred equipment? If you were to go in here, you'd put in the finance amount, put $100,000, and you'd want to see tier two at 36 months. And you can slide your points anywhere 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, points that are allowed. I put in 10,000. If it's 100,000, then you're only allowed to do, and we're going to do tier two 30 months, then you're only allowed to do a certain amount of points. So it shows what the payment is, shows the term, shows what your commission would be, and shows the total amount they pay in finance charges over that time
Yep.
period.
Are you
Yes.
wanting to show this? Because we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, you're not seeing my screen. I'm sorry.
No,
Thank you for telling me.
sure.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'll go back home. Here's the home page. This is where you would, once you logged in, you would submit all the information on the transaction. So this is just our submission portal. And then at the very end, we've got a couple questions where you match the term, you match the explanation, and you go from there. Now I'll go into the quoting tool for you to see this. Here's where you choose what tier you want. If I chose tier three, I could put in 100,000. I can choose the term that I want. I can choose the points, and that adjusted accordingly. And then this is what the payment would be, the term. This is what your commission would be, and this is what the finance charge would be, which would be, in this case, you could say they're going to pay 152,005.92 on a $100,000 transaction at 30 months. The third tab is deals, and this you're able to come in and see anything that's going on, your deal stage. You would be the referral partner, the product, when it was created, what the amount is, anything that's in there, you'd be able to see that. Obviously, this is a test case, so there's nothing in there. But you'd be able to see any deals that you're working on or that you've worked on in the past. The final thing, which really helps us assess how we're doing and if we're a good fit for you as a broker, would be your broker dashboard. In this case, there's some sample data in here. Say 3 deals were submitted. You have 2 approvals. 2 of those were signed. You have a certain number of open deals in the pipeline. This would tell you your approval signed to funded time, which is basically the time from the term sheet is signed to when it's funded. Obviously, the shorter that is, the better it is because you're getting the transaction off the street as quickly as possible. It's got what your total fundings are and how many fundings you have, what your average ticket size is, what the sum of all your broker commissions has been, and then your apt to declined ratio, apt to approved, approvals issued, approvals signed, and apt to funded. And we have kind of red, yellow, and green to show you from our standpoint what we would like to see in regards to where your numbers stand and what your performance is. We also have, we can get more granular on this. We have equipment types submitted, industry submitted, declined reasons, so you can see why things are happening. And then any of your deals that are in collections, you'll be able to see that, so you'll know how your portfolio is performing. I'm going to leave this up here in case anyone has any questions, but I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions now. If anyone has one, or Monica, if there are any that were submitted, if you want to read those to me.
Yeah, so we'll get just a minute to let people type their questions. I know you guys have a great Q&A section, so that on your or frequent asked questions section. So it sounds like you may have answered some of the questions already, but we'll give it a minute to see if anybody has any additional questions.
Yeah, well, they do. I'll just add a couple other points. We are definitely growing and in growing mode for our portfolio. I think I iterated this at the beginning, but a lot of people view us as a last stop or a final spot for just credits that you can't get done anywhere. And so I really wanted to point out that we have four tiers now. Those were rolled out last year, but the tiers one and two, um, I think, are an attempt to get some better credit parameters at lower pricing for deals that we feel fall in kind of that B, B minus, C plus credit profile. Um, and so our hope is that brokers that are sending us a lot of their final turndowns will start to understand that we feel like we're a very good partner for transactions that are a little bit upstream from that also as well.
We have one question. It says, question that you don't require insurance on equipment prior to funding. Is that correct?
That's correct, because we have a program where insurance is automatically in place at funding through our third-party insurance provider. If customers want to provide it up front, they sure can, and that makes it where they don't have to provide anything else after funding. But if they don't, that does not hold up funding currently.
I don't see any other questions. But obviously, if anybody has any questions, they feel free to reach out to Kip and or Sasha or Lynn, and we can get those answered for you.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions coming in. I don't see any. So with that, we will wrap it up. And I want to thank a big thanks to our participants, and especially our valued funding source member and gold sponsor, 360 Equipment Finance. Thanks for a great job, Kip. We invite everyone to meet
Thank
with
you very
360
much.
Equipment Finance in person at the Commercial Financing Expo coming up this September in Austin, Texas, your home. And thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, bye-bye.